Now for larger numbers like this one, 3,480 divided by 10, we could use short division just like this, and we're pretty okay with dividing by 10. We've got 3 in the thousands place, dividing by 10, we can't allocate anything. So remember to always put a digit above the place value, even if it's 0. Later, we can actually look at some of those and see if they need to stay there. So 3 thousands can be regrouped, and that's like 34 hundreds now, because we've got the 30 hundreds plus the 4 we had. 34 divided by 10 is actually 3, and then there's 4 hundreds left. So we regroup those or trade them to the tens. Now we've got 40 tens and 8 more. 48 divided by 10 is actually 4, and there's 8 tens left. So we regroup those to units, and that means we've got 80 units. Divided by 10 is 8. So 3,480 divided by 10 is 348. Now, by the way, that 0 at the far left of our number has no actual value because it's sitting in the thousands place, and there are no tens of thousands or higher value digits. So we can leave that out. And this number here, if we notice that at the end of a number and we're dividing by 10, guess what we can do? We could use short division, but when we're dividing by 10, we can actually drop the 0 of the number. So 3,480 divided by 10 is 348, because we can drop the 0. Now that's useful if we're dividing by multiples of 10. If we've got 8,460 divided by 60, how could we work this out? Well, we could use short division, but what about 20,550 divided by 50? There's a few ways you could solve these. 14,350 divided by 70? Well, they've all got something in common. The divisors are all multiples of 10. In fact, the dividend, or the numbers, the totals we start with, are all ending in 0 as well. So we're going to use that to help us. We're going to divide by 10 first. Now we're going to work out this problem here. 14,350 divided by 70. Remember though, we're going to divide by 10 first. We're going to imagine there are 14,350 people. We could think of having 10 groups or groups of 10. It doesn't matter which way you think of it. I'm going to think of arranging those into groups of 10. So if I do that, that means I'm going to divide by 10 first. So to make my groups of 10, I'm dividing by 10. And then I'll divide by 7 to put them into groups of 7. So I'm going to divide by 10 to make a smaller group, and then for each of those groups, I'll divide by 7. Let's get started. Well, when we divide by 10, if our number ends in 0, remember we can drop the 0. So we've actually now got 1,435 divided by 7. So we've actually divided by 10 already, and that's what we're left with. Let's work that out. If we divide that by 7, one of the thousands we can't allocate, but then that 1,000 becomes 10 of the hundreds. So we've now got 14 hundreds divided by 7 is 2. 3 tens, we can't divide that by 7, so we put a 0 there, and that means we've got 3 tens or 30 units. To add to the 5 units, so 35 divided by 7 is 5. So 1,435 divided by 7 is 205. First we divided by 10 to get 1,435, and then we divided that by 7 and got 207. So that makes sense. Now there's a tip I'd like to give you. Even though we divided by multiples of 10 and we broke that down, you can do that for other numbers because 16 is the same as 8 times 2. So we could actually solve it using short division, or you could solve it as dividing by 8 and then dividing by 2. Or, because dividing by 2 is taking half of something, you could divide it by 2 first and then 8. Can you think of any more ways? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. So what about if you divided by 4 and then divided by 4 again? Using those methods breaks your problem down, and you don't have to divide by those double-digit numbers.